All right, 1, 2, 3.
Somebody once told me. Whoa. You're pretty sharp there.
All right, let's do it again. All right, 1, 2.
No, you gotta say 1, 2, 3. You can't start with 3 and then do 2. It's gotta be consistent.
Somebody once told me that.
Oh, now you're way too flat. Maybe in the middle.
All right, this is gonna be the good one. All right.
Okay. Hi, I'm Alana.
And I'm Zach.
And we are
Levy Farms. Today we're going to talk about life on the farm.
If we're going to talk about life on the farm, the very first thing we should probably talk about is soil.
Yeah, and actually, if we're going to talk about soil, we should probably talk about a tractor.
Oh, that's fair. Well, if we're going to talk about the tractor, then we definitely need to talk about our BCS.
Yeah, but if we talk about the BCS, we should probably get into hand tools first.
Okay, but if we're going to talk about hand tools, then we probably need to also talk about irrigation.
Well, okay, yeah, I like that. We'll talk, but actually, if we're going to talk about irrigation, let's start with the well. Let's start with how the water gets there.
Okay, but before we talk about the well, we have to talk about site design.
Yeah, site design, permaculture, these things are important. So we can start with that. Well, we've already done a video on getting the land, but let's talk about like how we acquired the well. How about through the NRCS?
Okay, but if we're going to talk about the NRCS, we also need to talk about other organizations that help out, like Georgia Organics.
And we should talk about the Farm Bureau.
Maybe we should talk about Foodwell Alliance.
Well, how about let's pull it back and talk about the vegetables.
Okay, well, if we're going to talk about the vegetables, we need to talk about which vegetables we grow.
Yes, and where we get the vegetables. So let's talk about let's start with the seeds. Let's start with the seed.
Okay, we'll start with the seed, but before we even talk about the seeds, we really need to talk about crop planning.
Yep, we need to talk about crop planning. Well, if we're going to talk about crop planning, we should probably talk about the beds and the bed prep. And let's talk about bed prep and bed maintenance.
Okay, but before we talk about bed prep and bed maintenance, we really need to talk about tarps.
Yes, well, I mean, if we're going into tarps, let's bring in shade cloth and agribon. What about the tunnels?
Probably talk about tunnels, yeah.
Let's talk about installing Caterpillar tunnels. Life on the farm, installing Caterpillar tunnels.
Well, but we also need to talk about why we need tunnels and what the tunnels are for.
Yeah, controlled environmental agriculture, that's good.
And climate resiliency.
Yep, but if we're, maybe let's save that for a little bit later. So let's start with the home base. Let's start with the barn. Let's start life on the farm, starting with our barn.
Okay, well, probably the most important part of the barn that we should definitely start talking about is the cooler, the walk-in cooler.
I would say that's not the most important part. Let's start talking about the wash pack. Let's talk about the wash pack station.
Well, before we talk about the wash pack station, we need to talk about what crops we wash and pack and how and why.
True, and we also need to talk about how we sell the crops. Let's talk about our sales plan.
Okay, but before we talk about a sales plan, we have to talk about our target market.
Yes, we got restaurants, farmers markets, direct-to-consumer sales, and the fresh box. Let's talk about the fresh box and sales.
Okay, before we talk about the fresh box and sales, though, we need to talk about packaging and processing.
Packaging processing, right, that's very important. Let's bring it back to cleanliness. Let's talk about how clean we keep the barn.
Okay, well, if we're going to talk about how clean we keep the barn, we need to talk about what we do in the barn and what our employees are doing and how we train them to do it.
Yeah, we're getting off track. Let's go back to the field. Okay, let's talk about soil.
Well, the years start coming and they don't start coming.
Wait, is it bend to the rules?
Fed to the rules.
Bend to the rules.
Fed, like you've been fed to the rules.
Okay. Fed to the rules.
Maybe it is bend to the rules.
Bend to the rules and hit the ground running.
No, bend to the rules and
It makes sense to live for fun.
It doesn't make sense. It didn't make sense not to live for fun. It's a double negative. Because it didn't make sense not to live for fun, so it does make sense.
It does make sense to live for fun.
No,
the
but
brain
don't say
gets smart
that.
and the brain gets dumb. Okay, all right.
Wow.
All right, that's we're working on something.
We're working on it.
We're gonna get there.
Yeah.
All right, so life on a farm as a farmer, obviously you can see that there's a lot of different aspects of the farm that take place. And we're here to not talk about any of those. We're here to talk about how to manage yourself inside of all of that.
It turns out the most important aspect of life on the farm is life as the farmer.
Yep. To be a farmer, it takes a lot. So I think the most important thing it does take is staying calm and staying focused, which we're all still learning.
Woo!
We're still learning how to do. Occasionally, we don't stay calm and we completely freak out during.
Occasionally.
Yeah, occasionally. But we do have crop losses and things like that happen, and sometimes we freak out and we think that it's all going down, it's all over. But we know it's not because we love what we do.
We love what we do, and even on days where we don't like what we're doing, the small tasks are like the trees, and the whole point is the forest. So it's really important for us to keep our eyes on the big system, the whole system as the forest, and not get lost in the trees.
Yeah, that was good. I like that.
Thanks.
With the farm, I just said Anyway, there's a lot of tasks that happen and a lot of things that need to be done, especially in the summertime. And I think that one of the most important parts about being a farmer is knowing what to do, not really knowing how to do it. You should know how to do it.
Well, the tasks themselves are not the hardest part about farming. The hardest part about farming is knowing what tasks need to be done and in what order.
Yeah, that's good. It's not necessarily working in the heat or working in the elements. That is literally the best part about it.
All you have to do is tell yourself, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to sweat. And then it's easy as pie,
Yep.
The sweating part.
It's a nice workout. It's a nice way
Feels
to be
good,
outside
really.
in the sun, and you're being productive, and you can see.
It's gratifying.
It's gratifying seeing the progress it's made. But it really comes down to staying calm, staying focused, and knowing what to do next and being very clear about that.
I would say that definitely is true, and that results from maintaining a relatively clear mindset, which is only possible if we, the farmers, are achieving proper rest and sleep, if we're eating properly. Those two specifically will contribute worlds in either direction to our mindset and to how clearly we're able to think and process and plan what goes on in the field. It's already difficult for anybody who runs a business to draw any kind of line between work and home life, setting limitations, deciding when I'm going to stop working for the day, deciding how much of my energy and attention goes to my kids and my home and how much I'm going to put into the business. It's extra. There's a whole nother layer of confusion and blurred lineage there when your business is operated out of your home.
Yep, so we do live on the farm, we live on site, and we're excited about that. This is what we've been working towards and what we've wanted to do.
It's a lifestyle.
It is a lifestyle, and it's a career also, but it more so is a lifestyle. So we live it every single day, and we don't necessarily turn it off, and we don't necessarily want to. So we do love our crops, and we love the vegetables and the farm. So we want to be there for our plants that we plant, and we do care about them because they are alive. So we take care of life.
They are literally feeding us. You are what you eat. We are our plants.
We are in the business of abundance. So we want to grow healthy soil, healthy vegetables, and not only feed our family, but we want to help feed other people as well.
We're feeding the body and we're feeding the mind.
Yep, and we're also feeding YouTube.
You too.
Tuba.
We've always said
I just played a tuba.
the YouTuba. He played it for like a day. Actually,
was
I think it was
actually
the French
full, yeah,
horn. It was
no.
a French horn. You played
That
the
is
French
completely
horn.
wrong.
You
That is
played the French
completely
horn.
wrong.
I saw a picture of you holding a French
No,
horn.
I played the tuba in 6th grade. I was very, very good at the tuba, and then I chose drums instead.
Okay.
So life as a farmer, it changes with the seasons. It changes every day, and along with staying positive and staying calm and staying focused, you really have to open yourself up to flowing with the seasons. You work a lot more in the summer, you work on different projects in the winter, and you tie yourself in with the flow of the earth's rhythms.
Just like nature and the earth, we have to be adaptable and build resiliency because, oh no!
Oh. Let's talk about tomatoes.
Okay, how about peppers?
Well, let's get into eggplant.
Cucumbers.
Well, I'm gonna go back to the tools.
Okay, but I want to talk about the plants.
Well, let's talk about the wheel hoe.
Okay, but we're trying out fruit for the first time this year, and it's a really big deal to me.
Let's talk about blueberries.
Or the flowers.
Should we plant for strawberries?
Maybe herbs.
What type of flowers?
All flowers.
Well, let's do edible flowers.
Maybe we should do some perennial flowers.
Bouquets.
Wholesale.
Sunflowers. Perennials.
You pick.
Pollinators.
Let's do a you pick.
Let's do you pick. Comfrey.
How
Yarrow.
about an herb spiral?
Herb spiral.
How about a corn maze?
Let's do a corn.
How about a pumpkin patch? Oh my god, how about hay rides?
Oh my god.
Hay rides through the pumpkin patch in the wintertime.
Let's do a
how about you pick
those
your
are
own corn?
bonfires.
How
Let's
about
do
a wall of
bonfires.
corn? A wall